Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're taking a really deep plunge into a fascinating stack of devotional sources. They're all built around the Hebrew calendar, and we're specifically charting the transition into the year 5786 with a big focus on the month of Shevat.
Right.
Our mission here is really just to synthesize these themes of spiritual establishment, deep nourishment, and endurance, to give you a practical blueprint for anchoring the revelation you've already received.
That's a great way to put it. We're essentially mapping the journey from concept to execution.
Right.
The sources, they don't treat time as this passive background. They see each year and month as a proactive step. So we're charting a course from revelation into reality.
And looking at what it takes to hold on to that.
Exactly. Looking at the rootedness and the reinforcement you need to actually hold these powerful new insights instead of just letting them slip away.
Okay, so before we dig into the letters and the numbers, there's a quick structural detail about the calendar itself that I thought really sets the tone for this whole deep dive.
Yes.
Our sources, they emphasize a preference for the lunar-sighted calendar. Why does that even matter conceptually?
It's hugely significant because it establishes the theme of observation over calculation right out of the gate.
Observation over calculation.
Yeah. This approach relies on the actual sighting of the new moon over Jerusalem, which mirrors the ancient biblical methods. A calculated calendar that relies on prediction.
A forecast.
Right. But a sighted calendar, it relies on responding to what God is revealing in the heavens right now.
So the reliance is on observable reality, not a schedule you forecasted.
Precisely. It shifts the whole methodology from, say, intellectual planning to responsive obedience. If the moon isn't sighted because of clouds, well, the month doesn't start until the next day. It follows that pattern of two witnesses.
So even that small technical detail, it underscores this major spiritual principle.
It does. Wait on what is revealed. Don't rush ahead with what is calculated. Okay, let's unpack this huge transition. From vision to structure. This all centers on the year 5786, and the material contrasts it so sharply with the previous year, 5785.
Right.
That year was marked by the letter He, which represented the window, the revelation, the unveiling, that moment the vision first opened up.
And now, 5786 is the year of Vav. So if He was the sight, Vav is defined as the physical connection.
The nail.
The nail that establishes what was revealed. I mean, think of it visually. The Vav looks like a straight line connecting 2 points. It's the fastener.
And that's really the core thesis for you listening. Revelation without establishment. That just leads to instability.
A glorious vision with no anchor leads to collapse. The goal for this entire year is securing what was exposed last year.
I really want to focus on that phrase, the nail, that imagery. It makes the concept feel so much less abstract. It's just permanence, structure. But what does securing a vision actually look like day to day? The journal lists 4 major practical outcomes we should expect. Let's start with the first one, the idea that revelation becomes reality.
This is where we move past the brainstorming session.
Okay.
It's the shift from idea to tangible implementation. The source says this year is characterized by things tightening up. We should expect our assignments to clarify, loose ends to get secured.
Structures forming around things that used to be just abstract ideas.
Yes. It means rendering decisions about what the revelation actually demands of you.
So if you had a vision for, say, a ministry or a career move or a big change in a relationship last year, 5786 isn't about dreaming about it anymore. It's about writing the policy manual.
Exactly. It's the architecture phase.
Yeah.
And that leads directly to the second implication. Exposure gives way to alignment.
Right.
So last year, maybe you saw some areas of dysfunction, financial holes, relational misalignment.
And the risk there is that when you expose all that dysfunction, you just introduce chaos, right? It feels destabilizing.
And that's the key distinction the source makes. It asserts that hidden things are being resolved for order, not for chaos.
That's a huge difference.
It is. God isn't just spotlighting problems for the sake of shame. He's showing you the points of connection, where to secure the structure, and just as important, what needs to be removed, because it was never meant to be connected in the first place. This is all about establishing a divine coherence.
I want to circle back to that idea of removal, because the third concept listed is that anchoring and pruning happen at the same time. It seems counterintuitive. You're using the nail of Vav to establish, but at the same time, you're using scissors to prune and remove.
But it's the essential maintenance required for establishment. If you try to anchor a structure that's carrying a bunch of dead weight, the whole thing eventually fails.
Makes sense.
So the source is very clear. Establishment and removal work together. In key life areas like relationships, finances, identity, how you use your time.
So what's essential gets anchored, and what's dragging it down gets disconnected?
Yes. And they use that powerful word. This removal isn't loss, it's mercy.
Wow.
It's the mercy of shedding what couldn't sustain the future God is building.
That reframes struggle entirely. It means sometimes the thing breaking off is actually an act of divine kindness. It's clearing the way for stability. Okay, let's wrap this section with the final meaning, which is just crucial for understanding God's active role this year. Judgment means decision.
This is vital vocabulary for the listener. In the biblical context used here, judgment does not mean punishment or destruction first. It means decision. It means rendering a verdict.
A verdict.
Yes. Because God is establishing structure, he is clarifying the path forward. We should expect clear verdicts. Yes or no, stay or go, start or stop.
So if I'm waiting for a sense of clarity on some big life choice, this year is essentially characterized by the divine verdict coming down.
That is precisely the expectation. It's resolution. It's closing the door on the maybe and opening the door to the now. It's the decision that allows the structure, established by the Vav, to move forward with unshakable alignment.
That sets a very firm stage for the year 5786. Now let's zoom into the current month, Shvat. The month itself is associated with the letter Tzadi,
Yes.
which is often visualized as a righteous person, bent over, rooted downward before being lifted up. Everything here just screams roots.
It absolutely does. It grounds that whole establishment theme in personal humility and supply. The foundational question Shvat asks is whether your spiritual nourishment is coming from God or is it from external pressure, fear, striving.
Right.
It insists that we have to be willing to remain hidden while God strengthens the inner life.
And the astronomical connection, it just reinforces this focus on water and provision. The constellation is Delhi, the water bearer, Aquarius. But the source makes a distinction about this water.
Yes, it does. This is not passive seepage. Dali represents deliberate pouring, and we connect that to what it calls the deep drinking principle.
Okay, what's that?
Ancient Israel had to learn to rely on hidden sources of water, deep wells, underground springs, because the surface water was seasonal. It was unreliable, fleeting.
The spiritual parallel there is striking. If surface reading or just familiarity with the topic gives us a seasonal faith, deep drinking provides real transformation and reliability.
That's it. It's the difference between, say, reading the source material and truly internalizing it. It's the call to be that tree planted by the streams of water from Psalm 1.
Whose leaves do not wither.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because the supply line is reliable and hidden and deep.
And this commitment to deep nourishment and purity is marked out by the gemstones of the month. The primary stone is amethyst.
Amethyst symbolizes purity, righteous nourishment, and guarded spiritual growth. It's the anchor for that deep drinking, for ensuring the source is clean. It guards the structure internally.
But then, complementing amethyst, we have lapis lazuli. And amethyst is about purity. What specific role is lapis lazuli playing in this whole process of rootedness?
Lapis lazuli is the stone of discernment, anchored in truth. It specifically appears when the source emphasizes truth over emotion.
Oh, that's interesting.
So amethyst ensures the root system is pure. Lapis lazuli ensures your perception above ground is clear. It helps you see reality, not just your emotional interpretation of reality.
So even if your emotions are swirling, lapis helps you remember the verdict.
The Vav decision. It's anchored in the written and living word, not in shifting sentiments.
That makes the distinction so clear. Amethyst stabilizes the heart. Lapis stabilizes the head.
An unanchored emotional soul drifts, but one anchored in truth stands firm while its roots are being nourished.
So this internal reinforcement has to happen before any external display.
It must. The growth progression is stability first, then visibility. Before the branches extend and bear fruit, the roots have to thicken and the trunk has to be secure.
So the immediate focus is reinforcement, endurance, and upright formation, not speed, not excitement. And you noted that the concept of upright growth is defined as standing straighter, not necessarily striving higher.
It's an inward alignment, not an outward ambition. The structure has to be secured because, well, the environment around it isn't getting any calmer. What God strengthens now is what will stand when the pressures inevitably increase.
And we know this hidden work gets tested. We see the intentional use of the gemstone onyx later in the month, specifically around days 16 and 17. Why onyx at that specific point?
Onyx is the structural stone. It signifies endurance, strength under pressure, and Well, structural stability. It represents the ability to carry increased weight without cracking.
Okay.
By the middle of the month, the structure has received nourishment, it's risen upright, but now it needs hardening. Onyx emphasizes longevity over appearance. It's concerned with permanence, not polish.
That historical analogy you mentioned from the source material is so powerful here, that ancient construction was tested by deliberately applying weight.
It's a profound spiritual insight. If cracks appeared during that weight test, it doesn't mean the building was a failure.
It just showed where more work was needed.
It just revealed where reinforcement was still needed. Spiritually, pressure, perfect strength. It doesn't expose shame. God allows the weight, the wind, the weather, the weight of new responsibility, not to tear the structure down.
But to confirm the foundation.
To confirm the foundation established by Vav and secured by the deep drinking of Shvat. The structure that passes the onyx test is the structure that's ready to bear the fruit tomorrow.
As we round out the month, the entire discussion shifts to security and the peace that comes from this test of structure. That historical reflection on ships without anchors being at the mercy of currents is it's spot on.
It is.
If your soul operates on emotion without truth, it's going to be unstable.
And that's where the identity of the anchor comes into play. The source material intentionally references Yeshua as the chief cornerstone, the sure foundation.
And the anchor of the soul.
And fundamentally, the anchor of the soul. Anchoring is the necessary result of submitting your feelings and circumstances to the decisions, the verdicts, rendered by the Vav year.
And the source defines peace in a way that separates it from just, being comfortable. It's based on John 14.27.
This is the unshakable definition. Peace is not the absence of trouble. Peace is the presence of Christ.
Right.
The world offers a peace that depends on shifting external conditions. If the economy is good, if relationships are calm, and that peace is always fragile. But the peace promised here is rooted in something circumstances cannot affect. It's peace within the storm.
And we circle back to one final gemstone that reinforces this unshakable quality, sapphire.
Sapphire is the stone of rest, covenant peace, and heavenly order. It appears toward the end of the month as a reflection of that alignment. The peace it represents is not striving peace, it's resting peace.
Resting because you know God is strong.
And has secured the foundation. It's the fulfillment of the Shabbat principle applied to your established structure.
It also appears on day 22, and the theme is guarding the fruit with wisdom. Why is wisdom the necessary guardian of maturity?
Because fruit draws attention. And attention draws pressure. The wisdom that sapphire represents is restraint, not excitement. It determines who and what gets access to the fruit that has been grown.
So maturity is preserved by wisdom.
By wisdom, by restraint, and by keeping the structure aligned. If the structure is wobbly, you lose the fruit.
And that guarded maturity is the launch pad into the next season. The final charge is to step into the next month, Adar, with holy joy.
Yes, because joy carries strength. The assurance is that the necessary rootedness and structure have been established, and now the focus can shift to rejoicing deliberately while staying rooted and obedient to those established structures. Joy isn't just an emotion, it's the strength that carries the established reality forward. So for you, the learner, absorbing all these concepts, our deep dive reveals a highly structured, very intentional process that's embedded in the calendar. We move from Revelation 5:785 to Establishment 5:786.
Fueled by deep nourishment.
Yeah.
Secured by tested endurance. So the key takeaways for navigating this season seem really clear. Prioritize implementation over just abstract ideas. Consciously draw your life from those hidden, reliable spiritual sources. And wholeheartedly embrace the necessary pruning and pressure, knowing they are acts of mercy designed for stability, for longevity.
That's right. And since the source repeatedly stresses that strength is refined, not rising, during the waning moon phases, meaning the toughest, most hidden work often happens when things seem least active. Consider this provocative thought for the week ahead. How much of what you currently perceive as delay or resistance in your life is actually a deliberate, hidden reinforcement? One designed not to hold you back, but to ensure that the structure you're building is strong enough to carry the weight of your future purpose.
Something to mull over.